Welcome to my video this week. Today we're going to make a soprano saxophone sound like a Chinese bawu. The Chinese bawu looks like a flute, but it has a free reed instead of a hole where you blow into, so it has a sound of an accordion, although the bawu is a much older instrument than the accordion, so I should say the accordion sounds like the bawu. So we take the reed and mount it on the soprano saxophone with a special adapter that I'm going to show how to build today. And then the soprano saxophone sounds like this. Okay, let's build the adapter. So in order to build the bawu adapter, we take a regular reed. Rap Music was the only shop where I could order from the United States. And they come in different sizes, and I chose the F reed because it's the largest. And it's not large enough, so we're going to make it a little bit larger. So this is how they come. And we have to enlarge it to a length of 2 centimeters. And then we have to solder a tip with solder on it to make the reed in front heavier, and that both helps us to get a lower frequency that we need. I also tried to build a reed totally from scratch, and it was a total disaster, and I'm not going to do it again. It's not worth it. So we have to mark this up now to 2 centimeters. And usually people like to use an engraving tool, but I would not recommend it here because it might make the reed fragile. I'm just going to tape this here onto the PVC pipe, and we can then hold the other side down to make sure we cut the reed and not the frame, or in between the frame. So make sure you are at the edge of the reed, so you really just make the existing slit longer. And now we're going to solder a tip onto the top to make it heavier. Make sure you use lead-free solder because it comes in touch with your mouth potentially. And water-soluble paste flux, that's for soldering water pipes. I'm just going to put a little bit paste flux here on the tip of the reed. Okay, and that's it. Usually it doesn't swing freely through it, so we have to sand it a little bit. And that's what we're going to do next. Okay, in the next step, we're going to cut the plate out for the bawu reed. So we're going to cut first. I took the dimensions from my book, and we're going to drill the holes in here, then file it out, and then that's easier cut the edge at the very end. So that's a 5 millimeter drill. That's the width of the slot. So we got this. Now we just have to file this out. So now we got a nice rectangular hole here, and we're going to cut the edge off. So we're going to sand this side a little bit to roughen it up. And this side, we're going to keep the tape on. So in case you get some epoxy glue on it. What we're going to do is the easiest is to take a really cheap saxophone mouthpiece. Don't take your favorite one. So of course the problem is that the saxophone mouthpiece has a curvature here so the reed can swing. We need to sand this mouthpiece flat so we can glue the frame like this one on here, and that way we don't have a gap. So let's do that right now. Now we can glue it onto the sanded down saxophone mouthpiece with epoxy. The final step here for the bawu reed adapter, we're going to take this off and we have a really nice clean surface here. We take our reed, and usually I'm very lazy so I just mount it with masking tape. The reed tip goes inward towards the saxophone neck. Make sure that it is sealed from all sides. You can mount it nice, and you can also make a top frame for it like the traditional bawu instruments, but usually I'm just happy when it plays properly. So let's see if it plays properly. That's the bawu reed adapter.